I have some real concerns about Travon Walker, and if your team is going to spend maybe a top 5 pick on him, you probably should as well. I think there's legitimate reasons to feel very concerned about him and acknowledge that he is a massive risk. Now, there's some obvious plus sides to his game. He's certainly an incredible athlete. His measurables are fantastic. His combine stuff was all great. So he's someone you can dream about being this incredible player. The issue is he hasn't really turned all of that stuff into actual production, even at the college level. These are his PFF grades from last season, where you see that he ranked 160th in overall defensive grade. And this is just for defensive linemen, not defensive players. And also it's, if you're into FBS, and then 262nd in terms of total passing grade. And actually, I take that back. This isn't defensive linemen. This is just edge rushers. Just edge rushers. He couldn't crack the top 50 in either of these categories. So right off the bat, that might be a concern, but a lot of people would say, well, college production doesn't always translate to NFL production. However, in a position like this, it translates pretty well. For example, you look at this chart, what you're looking at here, this is edge rushers, and I'm only using pass rush grade for this to just establish how good they are. So column to the left, these are players that either got a grade in the 90s, in the 80s, or in the 70s. And then the score to the right, that's on a scale of 1 to 4, 4 being the best, 1 being the worst. This was my grades of how I feel everybody is now that has been drafted. So, we're talking about guys drafted 10 years ago, but now I'm, giving a grade of how it ended up working out. And you see the dramatic increase the better you are at PFF grades. That's really the situation, and that's why it's fair to have some concerns about Walker. Again, if you don't believe in PFF grades, fine, you don't believe in them, but the lesson we all should probably take away from this is that production matters. And quite frankly, Walker just didn't produce that much. In fact, he had a PFF pass rush grade of lower than 70. So he's not even on the chart. He's the lowest we've seen go in the first round of that, at least as far back as my research has gone. So that's concerning. But of course, we should look at everything while looking at film, right? Always pay attention to film. That's what is important. And there was some good stuff. For example, something like this, where what you're going to see on a play like this is he's going to be, in run defense here, which in fairness, his run defense was better than pass rush. It's still not enough for me to justify spending a top 5 pick on him, but it's enough for me to, I would spend a second round pick on him, right? Certainly. But honestly, I don't even know if I would spend a late first on him. But anyways, back to the play. What's going to happen here is he's in run defense, and watch what happens. As you see, he is left unblocked on this play, and he does a good job of understanding his gaps. So if this is going to be a quarterback run, he's in position to make that tackle. But since it's instead a handoff, as you see, he goes over and he's going to make an immediate tackle there. So there was some legitimately good stuff on film. Again, there are things to like about him. I'm not trying to say there aren't. And of course, people are going to bring up maybe part of why his numbers and why his tape looks worse is he was rotated in and out. Maybe he's someone who needs to be constantly out there, get a lot of snaps to really perform. It's possible, but I don't know. I watch stuff like this, and it's concerning, and it's just concerning. This is not a top 5 level pick, I would say. He's on the inside right here, and watch what happens. He's just going to get completely pushed out of the way. I mean, that was not a great rep from Travon Walker. We also have something like this, where what's going to happen on this play, it's going to be kind of, more of the same, really. You see the matchup that he has. It's a one-on-one matchup, and watch just how long it's going to take him to get any pressure. I mean, these things happen, and he would get beat relatively consistently, I felt like. Again, everyone gets beat in college. Everyone's low right reel doesn't look great, which is kind of why sometimes showing these film studies can be a little bit difficult. But basically, just what I'm trying to say is, when I watched the film, I didn't think, oh wow, PFF really screwed up their data. I thought, no, this feels about right. Like on something like this, even his wins weren't really that impressive to me. Something like this where it's going to be a twist, and I have, him circled, he's on the inside, which, listen, that's something I like about Walker, that he can play on the inside or on the outside. That's good. That's a positive trait in a player. And watch how right when this play begins, you're going to see right here, so the left tackle and left guard both are trying to, paying too much attention to Walker. The guard now realizes, okay, this isn't great. I have to block the other guy. But when he goes to do that, the tackle was not ready. Walker gets there for a sack. So good play from Walker and well executed by Georgia. All that stuff is very good. My issue with this type of play, though, mainly is just that this is kind of more of a mistake by Clemson than it was a great play by Walker. I didn't even think his wins were particularly that impressive. So yeah, that's kind of my thought on all of this stuff. And listen, there tends to be three main things that you look for in a player, right? You look at production, you look at just measurables, size, and then you look at tape. Those are the three main ways that you evaluate players. Some people just like to use one. Some people like to use all three. I like to use all three. I think they're all three valuable, but the reality is his production wasn't great. It wasn't. And again, I determine production a little bit differently than some might. Some people look at sacks. I don't really care about sack numbers. I care about, are you getting consistent pressure, which he wasn't, and the data backs that up, and also the tape backs that up. I wasn't that impressed with his tape, so that's, 2 out of 3 I'm not that impressed with. His measurables are impressive, and if you're someone who says, I trust, give me a frame of a great player, I'll take him and turn him into a star. If you believe in your player development, well, then maybe there's some logic to that. It's just not the move I would make. I'd rather just go after a guy who I feel is a better chance of, has a better chance of succeeding. I think Thibodeau and Hutchinson are both miles ahead of how I view Travon Walker. They just are. So it's just a little surprising to me that you see all of these, I see mock drafts having him go number 2 to the Detroit Lions. And, I have friends who are Lions fans. I'm very much hoping that does not happen for their sake, because I just don't think it's a risk. And I guess here's the last thing I'll say before I end this. There is a very real chance that in 2 years, people look back at this video and call me an idiot because, oh my God, how did you miss on this guy? You're so stupid. Because there is that's potential. So I can see it. And there is a world where Walker ends up being this elite player. There is. That world exists. The issue is just there's such a big risk, because for him to be successful, it's going to be an exception to the rules that you have in place. The reality is nobody knows anything in draft evaluation. We're all just trying to take educated guesses, and I think it would be an uneducated guess, if you will, to draft Walker with a top 5 pick. But again, I think in the right situation, you can justify drafting him at a certain point. He's a positive asset for sure. I'm not saying don't take the chance on him. I'm just saying I'd rather take the chance on someone else. That's how I view it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on one of the more fascinating prospects in this draft? And again, did I cherry pick some of the film a little bit? I wouldn't say cherry pick, because I was just showing what I wanted to make my point. There was some good film there for sure, but there was the bad film, and that's kind of making a negative video, so that's why I showed most of that. But, you just wanted to make sure I also mentioned there is some good stuff on tape too. It's not as much as the negative stuff. But yeah, anyways, let me know what you think of Walker in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.